Hey everyone, this is Robin Graves speaking. This is the world according to Graves. A little unprofessional the way I'm doing this, but oh well. First off, Mike, uh, why is this always open? Holy crud! It won't go away. Anyway, Mike, guess what? Godzilla vs. King of the Monsters got it first. Told you it'd make you stand erect. Got it before you did. And let me get a little sippage here. You open this here on the microphone. Oh yes, wonderful sound. Little sippage. Pepsi Zero or Pepsi used to be black or whatever it was. Oh, let me put that over here where it's not gonna hurt anybody. Um, Yesterday I put out this thing on 4 different social media platforms. And excuse me, guys, got traffic outside. I'm doing this fairly early in the mornings, but oh my God, 7 o'clock in the morning. Um, I put a thing on 4 different social media platforms of subjects. It seems that nothing newsworthy happened in the past couple of weeks, 3 weeks, whenever it was that Epstein died. Really, that makes it very hard for people like me here. Because I've got nothing to talk about. So I put a thing on 4 different four, 1, 2, 3, 4 social media platforms. Come up with a subject. Let's see what the viewers want to hear about. I got a lot of really cool ideas. Lester Jr., you come up with a really good. Hey, look at the background. Got assholes. You come up with a really good idea, and I'm really looking into that. That's something I'm really interested in. A friend of mine in the UK came up with a really cool one. I had to explain to her that that's the entire series of videos. Holy crud! Um, then I'm not going to say the platform because I'm not here to promote platforms. Uh, a woman by the name of Glenda Jackson, a she's an accountant, come with an idea, and we spoke on the phone. Excuse me. We spoke on the phone, and she had some really interesting information. A woman, lovely woman from Marietta, Georgia. Uh, she had some really cool subject matter to talk about, and I ran with it. Um, I'm There's going to come a time pretty soon, within the next few months. Hopefully, if things work right. Um, Let me put it this way: by February, I'm going to work on having her do a one-on-one with me here online with you guys. Probably February. I'm going to shoot for February. We both got to clear times in our schedules. Believe me, I've got a lot of things happening in my life. She's got her career. We just have to clear some stuff. But the idea she had was very interesting. It's the negative effects of globalization. Um, I found it fascinating. And stuff. She came up with 6 different reasons that it won't work uh, financially. We spoke other reasons. I'm going to be bringing those up in future shows. But anyway, let me get this started. I don't have a hell of a lot of time this morning. My niece is now living with us, and I forgot what it's like to live with a teenage girl. That's wow. That's an adjustment. Why are you women like this? Anyway, the really interesting things about globalization, we have both parties have globalists that are pushing for open borders, um, for us to be like, for a lot of countries here in the West to be like the European Union. And this goes into why the European Union also is not working. Globalization is it's like Marxism. It's There's no way it'll work. It's an automatic fail situation. So let's get started. One, globalization uses up finite resources more quickly. Take for example, the world has undergone 2 sets of oil price spikes. The first was in 1973 to 1983. After 1983, it is actually impossible to bring prices back to the 30 to $40 a barrel range compared to the range prior to 1970, where it's $20 a barrel. Now we're talking $100 to $150 a barrel. This is due to a lot of the globalization that's been going on since the 60s. We're going to get into that later. Hold on. Let me finish here, and you'll understand why. Now, since 2005, we have high prices back, but there is a much worse problem. Our production is flattening while demand is growing due to globalization. She went into, she and I both went into detail on this, and everything I threw up as an argument against her, just to see if she knew what she was talking about. She threw back a response back at me like that. So, I'm a firm believer that a lot of our oil prices now, the reason our gasoline is so high, plastics are getting more expensive, petroleum products in general are getting more expensive, is due to globalization. All right, trade agreements are great. I'm all for free trade. But globalization destroys that free trade, as it's doing with the trade for oil around the world. Globalization transfers jobs from developed countries to undeveloped countries. Look at what all the jobs that left here and went to Mexico. That's exactly what happens. Look at all the products you're buying at stores like Target, Walmart, any department store. Very few are made here in America. Very few. It's destroying economies, and it's destroying our economy altogether. So let me finish here. I'm getting ahead of myself here. See, it leaves the playing field it levels the playing field in a way that makes it hard for developed countries to compete. People say, well, America can't make a decent car. Yes, they can. It's just Japan makes it, Korea, China, they make them a lot cheaper. Mexico, our car production, a lot of our American car production is going to Mexico. We're going to get into that. Why we're doing that? Just keep on. I don't want to get ahead of myself on this. I want you guys to learn something from this. So let me get back here. See, a country with a lower cost of structure, which means lower wages, fewer or no benefits for employees, and more lenient rules for pollution, are able to outcompete a developed country. Say, for example, India. They've got very, very low wages. Their wages are very low. There are no virtually no benefits for their employees. They have very lax rules on pollution. What products they can use. Look at China right now are using products, and their products are using materials that are toxic to our children. We have, here in America, we have a lot of regulations, a lot of rules, a lot of laws concerning things like that, which makes production a little more expensive because they got to use more expensive alternatives. Where China have no rules like that, they have no laws, concerning that, and India and Pakistan, Mexico, they don't have these laws. That's one of the reasons that we were pulled out, that Trump pulled us out of the Paris Climate Accord, is because we have all these laws that were thrown on top of us, and stuff. While competing countries like China have several decades to catch up to our standards and our laws, and they're destroying everything. The environment. They've got unhealthy products. Their wages are lowered. They're controlling currency. Just to compete against us. Up until the point where China became favored trade partner to America, we were beating them in everything. So uh, it's pretty much globalization. It's pretty much, like I said, a lose-lose situation. Number three, globalization transfers investment spending from developed countries to less developed countries. And if an investor has a chance to choose between a country with a competitive advantage, lower costs, lower wages, um, lower manufacturing standards, which one will he choose? Which country is he going to invest in? The one where, like America, where we have standards in production, or a country like Pakistan, who is going to pretty much screw you over. They got dangerous products. They don't have pollution controls. They don't pay anybody anything. Compare the American dollar to them is worth a lot of theirs, because, well, our standards are higher. They control the currency. They manipulate the cost of the currency. They they've so far flooded the market with certain products because it's cheaper for them to do so. Number four, globalization tends to move taxation away from corporations and onto individual citizens. This is interesting. Corporations have the ability to move to locations where the tax rates are lowest, mainly in undeveloped countries, where the U.S. citizens are much less likely to make such a change. You've heard all these companies that left America, went overseas, because it's cheaper for them to do so. Trump so far has been bringing a lot of manufacturing back. In fact, Ford decided to not manufacture certain vehicles in Mexico and brought it back to America. You out there screaming, yelling that, well, we're giving too many tax incentives to corporations. Well, Jesus Christ, we have to, because if we don't, they're going to go to Asia. They're going to go to Vietnam. They're going to go to Cambodia. They're going to go to Bangkok, Thailand, and put in factories there, where it's cheaper. Their currency is less valuable than Americans, where they could spend where they could spend 1/10 of what they can here and get more, make more money. So think about it, folks. Before you start pointing fingers at corporations, it's not just the corporations; it's the globalization that's going on. The country, the less developed countries, that where an American dollar is worth a hell of a lot more there than it is here. So, this is where we get into it. Number five, globalization sets up a race to the bottom, with each country trying to get an export advantage by dropping the value of its currency because of the competitive nature of the world economy. Each country needs to sell its goods and services at as low a price as it can. That's what I told you. This can be done in many ways. One is allow lower pay, allow more pollution, use cheaper and more polluting fuels, or debase their currency. Pretty much like they call it quantitative easing. They want to do quantitative easing here in America. Everybody was for it, but nobody knew what quantitative easing really was. It's debasing the currency. It's printing money. America does not. The American dollar has stayed strong as it is because we don't overproduce. We don't overprint money like some countries. If the more money that's in circulation, the more money that's printed, the less the money is worth. I want you to take a look at pre World War II Germany. Pre World War II Germany, inflation was so bad. That's from quantitative easing. Okay, we talk about now inflation in America is ridiculous. We got to blame the presidents. No, blame the people who are printing the money. In pre World War II Germany, due to quantitative easing and the amount of money they were printing compared to the amount of gold that they had in the country, or what the money was based on, it wasn't 5 marks for a loaf of bread. It was 5 pounds of the paper the marks were printed on for a loaf of bread. It people were making all kinds of money. They were making thousands a week, but that money was worth about as much as it was before when they were making $50 a week. Just because you have, I've heard a lot of you out there saying, well, America needs to print more money. No, America needs to print less money. There needs to be less money in circulation. Because the less money there is in circulation, the more that dollar you have is worth. And I want to use personal experience here. Back in the 80s, I went and saw Ozzy Osbourne back on the oh my gosh, was it Bark at the Moon? The Bark at the Moon tour, yeah. Back when he had Jakey Lee, I paid $15 for a third row center seat right in front of the stage, center stage, third row. I think I paid $15. Well, Ozzy Osbourne is coming to Atlanta in May, and I started looking at ticket prices. I was just curious. I was really thinking about this is going to be his last tour more than likely. He's not going to make it. He's not going to live much longer. I figured I'd look up ticket prices and go look. Did you know that the same seat that I paid $15 for back in 1983, I think it was 1983. Right now, the same seat, same ticket, everything, now will cost me $337. Now I admit that the ticket brokers are raising their prices, but people are paying this because the money itself right now, it's ridiculous because he's still making the same amount of money playing that stage as he did is 1983. The money has devalued to that point. Gasoline prices, I remember back in, oh my God, 1988, under $1 a gallon. Now here in Atlanta, there are places where it's nearly $4 a gallon. Our money has debased that much due to the fact of the quantitative easing and printing more money and putting more money in circulation is having an effect on our economy. Everyone has told me we need to print more money. We did. And this is what's happening. More money in circulation, the poorer you are. It doesn't matter what you think. You have to understand supply and demand. The more, people are demanding more money. Supply of money is lowered. The money's more valuable. You print more money, the money you have loses value. So it's no wonder that during times of quantitative easing, the unemployment, the minimum wage goes up. So let's say, for example, back in 1988, minimum wage was $3.35 an hour. I remember people living on $3.35 an hour. Now minimum wage is what, $7.10, $7.25 an hour. You can't do anything on minimum wage anymore. You can't even pay your rent on that much. So let's take the fact that a lot of countries are using this quantitative easing to debase their own currency to make the American dollar more valuable in their country. So companies are going over there paying less money to get to make more money, and globalization is allowing this to happen. Free trade agreements are great. Trade agreements are wonderful. I'm all for those. Those help the market. So far, globalization has destroyed the market. Let's keep going. This is going to be a short one today, folks, I think. Number 6, which, it leads to something really cool. Globalization ties countries together so that if one country collapses, the collapse will likely ripple through the system, pulling many other countries with it. We're connected to Mexico right now. We're also connected to, get this the hell out of my way, eat that cat. We're connected to Mexico and Canada. The Bush started the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA. where the economies to Mexico, America, and Canada are all linked together. If one country goes under, so do we. So does the other one. So one country screws up, three countries die. Globalization will actually, it doesn't solve anything. It does not make a level playing field. It trades one third world nation for another. Yeah, okay, all these undeveloped countries, all of a sudden become developed. They start making all the money in the world. Their people live at a higher standard of living. Their cities are growing and everything. What about the developed countries that lost all of their manufacturing, all their money, all their everything, so this other country thrives? That country now becomes a third world nation. It now becomes an undeveloped, a post-developed country. I think it was the term she used, a post-developed country, where development stops. And in fact, it starts regressing. I want you to think about everything. Anybody out there who's all for these globalists in our government, I want you to think cause and effect. Fine, no borders. Everybody gets to live wherever they want to. They get to go without any problem whatsoever because there are no borders. I want you to look at Britain. Look what's happening there due to the EU doing that. In the EU, you can move one country to another. No problem. Nobody asks any questions. You don't have to be a citizen of a country to live there. They want to do it here in America. They want to do it here in the West. Well, I want you to look over there. Due to globalization, right now, Greece, during the time, right after the EU started, Greece floundered. It almost disappeared. Financially, it was bankrupt. Its money was worthless. Everybody's saying, well, they needed to switch to the euro. They did, and still, the money was worthless in that country. It's really down to the point now where either we stop the globalization or we continue with it. And everything that these countries, these developed countries have worked for, falls apart. You know, it's a very odd situation. And it's really alien to me that these politicians on both sides of the aisle, both Democrats and Republicans, who are all for this, want it to happen. Always look, like I always say, when somebody wants something, look at what they're going to gain and what you're going to lose. I want to mention something that Kevin Miller brought up. He told me yesterday. Was it yesterday? Day before yesterday? One of the two. He was talking about the tweets that Donald Trump are making. I was worried there for a while about some of the things he's saying till Kevin brought it up. He said every time he makes a tweet, the left goes berserk and he doesn't stop. So far, the left has always said that he's an idiot because, well, look what he's saying on Twitter. Look what he's saying on Twitter. You ought to see what I'm saying on Facebook and a few other places. If you notice, every time he says anything, the left goes crazy. Trump has always been 3 steps ahead of everybody. He's not an idiot. And, an idiot doesn't make it as far as he has. Everybody says, well, he went bankrupt. Tell me one person who didn't go bankrupt when the economy floundered. Okay? A lot of people went bankrupt. A lot of businesses went under. So don't blame him for that. He didn't cause the economic problems. That was caused by a former president. I believe his name was Obama. So, sit there and think about it. Look at his tweets and look at the reactions. Trump is trolling the left. And he's got them going crazy because they can't stop him. And they don't like what he says. He could turn around and say everything they want to hear. And they'll bitch and moan about it. So he's having fun with it. Damn, it's a game. I'm glad he's doing something right now, making him think. He's doing the same thing I would do if I was in his situation. I would make people think. But look, guys, I'm at 25 minutes. I'm hoping I got this across. I haven't slept in 2 days. You gotta forgive me. I haven't slept in 2 days. I wanted to get this out. I've still got some things I have to do here before I can even sit down and doze off or anything. Um, so I'll catch you guys next time. I want you guys to be good to each other. I'm Robin Graves. This has been The World According to Graves. And above all, talk hard. Later, folks. Love y'all. Bye.